Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Good morning.
It's
In my office is
9:37 a.m. September 24th, is that correct? Welcome, everybody. I'd like to do a roll call this morning.
Commissioner Casey.
Here.
Commissioner Kaufman.
Here.
Commissioner Thickling. Here. Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Decker.
Here.
Commissioner Edwards. Here. Commissioner Wooten.
Here.
Commissioner Alvarado. Commissioner Yearout. We have a quorum.
Very good. Next, we'll start with introductions. We'll start here in the front, and we'll work our way back. Make sure everybody's here. Yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. I'm Pat McMurray, Director of CID MHG.
Justin Wolf, Deputy Director for CID MHG.
Martin Romero, General Construction Bureau Chief.
Andy Donnelly, Licensing Manager, CID.
JT Baca, Plumbing Mechanical Bureau Chief.
Clay Bailey, LP Gas Bureau Chief.
Kelly Hutt, Electrical Bureau.
Martha Murillo, CID MHD Compliance.
George Watkins, LP Gas Chief Inspector.
Derek Children, City Farmington Building Inspection.
Leo Hardy, City Farmington.
I'm Jack Clark with New Mexico Home Builders Association.
Francisco Ortega, ABQ Justice.
Diane Goodman, Citizen.
Nora Maya, ABQ Justice.
I'm Charles Erson, a citizen.
Francine Hernandez, PSI.
Steve Crispin, Executive Director of the Mechanical Contractors Association and the Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors Association.
Chris Architect, Construction Industries Plan Review.
Tamara Kirkendall, Chief Mechanical Inspector, CID.
Rick Martinez, CID Finance Manager.
Nathan Martinez, Bernalillo County.
Bob Beetlehunt, Construction Seminars.
Amanda Roybal, Investigations.
Nina Hollander, Electrical Inspector, CID.
Ron V. Hill, Central Region Chief Electrical Inspector, CID.
Very good. Thank you all for being here. And if you're filming me and you're going to use this for public advertisement, I need to talk to my agent. I'm part of the Screen Actors Guild, and I'd like to clarify that. Next, I'd like to move for to approve the agenda for today.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Decker, second by Commissioner Wooten. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we'd like to go to public comment. I'd like to limit it to 2 minutes each. So anybody that has anything to say, please raise your hand and introduce yourself once again. Here in front, Diana.
You want to go? You go first.
Young lady, go ahead.
Ladies first.
Okay. Well, I hope it'll be more than 2 minutes since Ms. Clark was allowed more than 2 minutes.
Excuse me?
I hope it will be more than 2 minutes since Ms. Clark was allowed 18 minutes at the last meeting.
We're going to try to limit it to 2 minutes. Thank you very much.
To Chairman Baker and committee members, on September 5th, 2014, Lisa Liaggio, the cabinet director who reports to Governor Martinez, and I had a conversation about CID which was recorded. She and I agreed on the importance of trust. What do we have if we can't trust? In order to be trustworthy, an individual and government need to have integrity within the individual and the government systems and value the importance of trust. She also told me that Governor Martinez did find a lot of problems and heard a lot of complaints about CID, and that Governor Martinez gave a directive that everything needed to be reviewed, analyzed, revamped, and brought to the highest standard. Additionally, she said that Governor Martinez instructed Mr. Unthank, the superintendent who is responsible for the management of CID, that he should keep the very highest professional standards and ethics at all times and to make sure that all employees follow his guidelines. Unfortunately, my experiences with CID and with the City of Albuquerque's Planning Department over the last 2 years indicate that there is a lot of work to still be done. Here are some examples of my findings. 1, the director's report for November 13th, 2013 is still not attached to the meeting minutes that are reported on the CIC website. If you remember, Chairman Baker indicated that they should be included as required by law when we discussed this at the last CIC meeting in July. 2, the July 13th, 2013 meeting, note this is in 2013, not 2014, is not even listed at the transparency website at http://governor.state.nm.us/webcast.aspx. And the May 21st, 2014, this year's meeting video is blank. This is disturbing since the July 17, 2013 meeting had an extensive discussion about citizens' complaints, including CIC member Mr. Decker's disdain and attempts to silence citizens' complaints. The May 21st, 2014 meeting had Robert Elliott express his concerns about CID and made it clear that the public needs to know about the problems at CID. Are these issues selective transparency, which in essence is not transparency at all, but manipulation of facts? Remember the importance of truth, trust, and integrity. 3, an IFR was prepared to request the list of the 793 complaints Mr. McMurray listed in the director's report dated July 16, 2014, which he graciously provided to me. The IFR report provided did not list 793 complaints and therefore does not comply with the IFR requirements. The report that was provided shows 788 cases and a separate report for closed cases of 423. Additionally, there are several cases that are reported in previous minutes and which are at the AG's office, and they are not in either of the reports, including my complaint. Remember the importance of truth and integrity. On April 29, 2014, I had a conversation with Jude Riazen. This is number 4, by the way.
Ms. Goodman, can you wrap this up a little bit, please?
She's going to speak next, and then he's going to speak
that-
after that.
That's
So then-
fine. I am, for the sake of other people in the audience, trying to limit it to 2 minutes.
Okay,
I don't
so-
know that we need to have everything read verbatim that we already have facts on.
Well, I don't think
And
you
I
have
find it
facts.
offensive that you're trying to suggest that this commission has been manipulative, or suggest that we're not trying to do our job and make the
Well,
industry better, because we are trying to make the industry better.
I know-
That's why
I
we
know.
make changes on a daily basis. So
Well, that's why
I just find a little bit of offense as a commission sitting here having you suggest that we're not doing our job. And although it is a public comment session, and I think that everybody should be free to say what they feel, what they see, or what they do, but, let's keep it within the realms of the meeting. Thank you.
Well, I haven't been able to finish it. If you let me finish through
Would
it,
you-
then you'll hear what my ending comments are, which are directly reflected at the CIC.
Would you finish up within a minute, please?
Okay, and then she's going to go
1
and
minute.
then. On April 29, 2014, I had a conversation with Jude Riazen, Chief Criminal Investigator. He is the go-to person when an individual is doing due diligence on whether a contractor has any previous complaints. As Chairman Baker accurately pointed out at the July meeting, due diligence is important when a real estate owner is assessing who they want to do business with. Jude informed me that Alvarado Roofing had no previous complaints, when in fact there are a minimum of 3, and 1 is at the Attorney General's office, as was later discovered by Mr. Riazen after a specific complaint number was given to him. In the spirit of transparency, perhaps all complaints should be listed on the state's website so citizens could get accurate information, and for a more efficient government to prevent our tax dollars from being spent on having an employee look up the information each year. It's not possible to do due diligence when the government we are supposed to trust misleads us about the facts. Number 5, as Ms. Clark noted in her comments at the CIC meeting, Martine Romero had informed her that all records past 2 years are destroyed, including the permit. She has a problem with her roof, which has been ongoing for several years. I had done some research and was told the same thing by Jude Riazen on or around July 25, 2014. He eventually had his supervisor, Kathy Duarte, get on the phone. She ultimately informed me that the permits are available online from October 2003 to current, after I pressed the issue. Again, citizens are being misled, and there is no confidence in the integrity of the employees to provide accurate information. Incidentally, there was no permit listed at that link for Ms. Clark's roof replacement. Number 6, CID has falsely documented the facts about my roof, which is part of public record. They've admittedly made numerous mistakes to the point where it's either a comedy of errors or they just use it as an excuse when they get caught. One example of the many, quote, mistakes they documented is that my shingle roof had been replaced in the report to CIC. When I recently spoke with Amanda Roybal and asked her why she had put that in the report when in fact it wasn't true, she called it a mistake, but mistakes are corrected, and there has been no correction of the facts about my roof's previous and still existing code violations and the actual repairs to this day. I am providing you one example of an existing code violation that still exists on my roof. Can you bring that out?
So can I ask you, are you using up their time right now? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm,
Okay, then I think you're done. Can we go to the next one, please?
sure.
You're just regurgitating a lot of information that you brought up to us before. I
I'm
want to
not
get to the
going
root,
to brought
I
up-
just want to get to the root of this situation. If there's problems, we're working on trying to get them resolved.
I'd like for somebody to give me feedback on that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. If you
I
want to put
haven't
something,
seen
if you want to put
anything.
something in writing to the commission, we certainly could sit there and take a look at that. But
I've already done that.
Okay.
So I've been putting things in writing, and okay, so I will go ahead and let him finish. You can go. So this is what I just read, these pictures. I'll take this.
Okay. I
Sir,
know
please
that Diane,
introduce yourself.
pardon me, I'm Frank Ortega, ABQ Justice.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm here for Diane Goodman. She's been here knocking on the door, and coming back and forth with this committee, and has gotten nothing. Has not gotten any kind of justice. And we are here, and we're not gonna let it die. Anybody that thinks that we're going away, it's not gonna happen till we get results. Thank you.
Did you want to speak? Okay, so because of these pictures.
Now, these pictures, which were already provided to Mr. McMurray as color photos, as evidence to support the appeal on February 2014, show a rusted flashing that was installed on her roof twice now. Initially on September 10th, 2012, it was also viewed by CID at the inspection in July 2013, which we have a video to prove. When they did destructive testing in that area and was reinstalled on
Excuse me
July 23rd.
1 second, please.
Yes,
Is this
sir.
still an open case? Is this
It is.
ongoing? We may want to hold off on that evidence because we don't want to, you know. Ms. Goodman,
Excuse me, but that's not
hold on
correct.
1 second, Ms. Goodman, I'm talking. If this is an open case, we may want to consider this information.
It's currently at the AG's office.
Okay, it's currently.
I think in September of last year was when we go to NCA.
Okay.
And actually, what Mr. McMurray just told you, again, is not correct.
Okay.
Because he just told me in writing, it's a closed case, and there is nothing more that CID is going to do. So what he just told you is again false. And I will send you the letter that he sent me yesterday if you want.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members, I have responded to Ms. Goodman just as early as this week, not on this particular item, but on same issues, but different issues, but her roof and the ongoing case that is at the AG's office. It's closed as far as CID has taken it. I responded point by point to the rusted vents, everything that's been brought up. She has written response to that and had the opportunity to appeal my decision. That was not taken by her and therefore did not come to the commission because of lack of appeal. But the criminal investigation on the contractor and some issues there are pending at the AG's office. Civil. Thank you.
So currently, this is not a CID open case, but an AG office open case.
And I would like to explain why I didn't appeal it to CIC, because as I stated to Mr. McMurray, that the whole process has been a sham, quote, sham. I have no confidence, not that I don't have confidence in you, Mr. Baker, you obviously in your previous comments do care, and I can tell. But I don't have any confidence because it should never have even gotten to CIC if things were done properly. And in fact, if Mr. McMurray had looked at the evidence that I had given up, one piece of which I have now passed around today, it would be obvious that his conclusion was incorrect.
But Ms.
So
Goodman,
there was no
you're
point.
making a lot of accusations today about a lot of good people that I have a lot of respect for in the industry. And this is a case that was, occurred, I believe, in 2008, is that correct?
No.
Is that when the work was done originally?
No.
What was the time frame of the work?
The work, which one? There's been
I
repairs that have been done.
It
but
probably at this point, it's all part of the same case.
13, 12, and
Which is-
I haven't had, I don't appreciate that people are questioning my integrity. I have been telling the truth, and I will continue to tell the truth.
I understand that, but you're also questioning a lot of other people's integrity, which
Based
I
on
think
facts.
brings some things to light. And
Yes,
I would
it
like to,
does, I
I'd
hope.
like to wrap this thing up as soon as possible. If you would like to finish your statement, I'll be more than glad to listen to that, but I think that this thing has been handed over to the Attorney General's office. It sounds to me like it's in the hands of the Attorney General and a civil case, and we would not be passing judgment on the civil case. What happens, what's brought before us is something that we represent the
And
industry and the citizens, and that's all we can do for right now.
And keep in mind that this is not just about, this is not about reopening the case. This is about my observations about the processes that have been going on within CID. This is not about reopening my case. This is about trying to provide facts to CIC so that they are aware of some of the experiences, the factual experiences that citizens, including myself, including Ms. Clark, including Mr. Elliott, among others, who have not been able to get justice
Okay.
and truth. And that's why I want to make it clear, I'm only trying to present facts to the committee members so that they can understand the experiences that we are going through in trying to get truth and
I
justice.
believe we understand that at this point, Ms. Clark. I can guarantee you that anybody sitting on this CIC committee now is aware of your concerns about what's going on. We're looking into those concerns. That's why we're all here. We're all volunteers and experts in our field. We're committed to the CIC commission to sit there and make sure that things are done properly in an orderly fashion. And you've had your concerns. I'm glad that you're sharing those. But at this point, I think you've exceeded even Mrs. Clark's time. So I would respectfully ask you to wrap it up and let's move on. We're going to work on trying to correct some issues within the CID that we feel are necessary. We know that it's not a perfect world. We know it's not a perfect situation, but we're all striving hard to make it that way. And it doesn't help when you have somebody looking over your shoulder every moment and trying to accuse you of things that aren't so. And I feel this morning that you've shed a light on something that's a little bit more negative than positive and trying to find resolve with your particular case. But you know what? You're a citizen of the United States of America, and I respect that, and you have the freedom to say anything you want to at any time. But at some point in time, we have to move on with this commission to serve the rest of the people of the state of New Mexico.
And I do hope that you understand that this is about serving the people and that
I
we
understand.
need to address these processes that are not happening properly. And I will be happy if you're willing to submit my comments in full, along with the pictures that I have attached as part of the meeting minutes, as I'm going to request, then I'm happy to stop now and we can try to move forward, because I would like to be doing other things this morning myself, but I do feel that the citizens need help.
I don't know if there has, but is there a pending NCA concerning these complaints?
There is, it's with the Civil Litigation Division
Okay.
at the AG's. Eventually, the disciplinary case will come before this commission to hear, so I don't think you
Do
want
you
to
see
look
it?
at
So,
that.
Mr. Chair,
They're
members of the
claims
commission, if I
close.
may, my advice to the council, and again, I'm just visiting council today, but if there is a pending matter that's been sent to the litigation division, not civil, I'm in the civil division, I don't handle, we don't handle the preparation of NCAs or the prosecution of them, but if this matter has been referred by the commission for the issuance of a notice of contemplated action, it could come back before the commission sitting as triers of fact. So my advice is that it not consider pictures or any factual allegations relating to the underlying complaint. I'm hearing Ms. Goodman discuss the process and issues with CID, but my advice to the commission is that it not consider photographs or any other information that might come before it later should the notice of contemplated action result in a hearing before the commission. Does that clear? I can clarify further.
Sounds legal to me.
Glad you're throwing a little humor into it. So, and with that said, then I will go ahead and submit the comments. We won't submit the pictures. I've asked Mr. McMurray several times to make sure that I submitted about 67 documents with the appeal that I did with him in January. And I want to make sure that that is included in the file when the AG's office is looking at it, because I think it will be evident what the facts are. So would you like me to?
I got a question on that. So you're saying you want to submit these comments and have them go to the AG's office? Is that what I'm understanding?
No.
No, okay.
What I'm saying is that just like last time, I submitted comments, and I hope that they're I asked that they be part of public record in the report, and I'm asking for that again. The gentleman, you don't have your name tag there, but Rick Ward with the AG's office, he said don't submit the photos because that's probably going to cause some legal problems. I don't have a problem with that, but I still would like to have my comments in full submitted as part of and included in the minutes for this meeting.
Let me ask, are those comments directly related to the facts of the case?
These comments are not related to my complaint. They are related to my observations about the process.
So these are facts that wouldn't come out in the hearing, so.
Not facts or allegations.
Okay.
I just want to make sure you weren't putting things that would be based on the case, because that would prejudice the case against.
Yeah, these are just my observations of the existing code violations that I've got, plus the other issues that I've been finding.
I think next meeting we'll have a joys and concerns session. Yes, please.
Okay, where's the regular?
What I would like to see happen with those comments is that they can be turned over to us, reviewed by our council. The council can determine whether or not they can be distributed to the commissioners at this point, or if they need to be held until after the review of the NCA.
Okay. I think that's acceptable. So if you'd like to turn that over to our council, we'll have them review that and see if that's something that we can look at without prejudicing ourselves against your case.
I see.
If it comes back, the last thing you want to do is stub your big toe when you're trying to get something accomplished. And we're trying to help you out, but there's a place for everything.
It's unfortunately, I'm not so sure. It's not even about my work anymore. It's about the processes, and it really needs to get addressed.
Trust me, we're all working on trying to make the process better.
I hope so, and citizens are happy to help with that process too, because we can do things. Would you like me to give that to him now, or?
Please.
Thank you very much for your time and your patience.
You're very welcome. Where were we? Okay. Any other comments?
Yes, actually there is.
Mr. Martinez, please introduce yourself.
Commissioner Chair Baker, Commission, thank you. My name is Nathan Martinez. I'm a government employee as well as a licensed contractor. I hold a general Builders 98 contractor's license as well as an electrical contractor's license. So first of all, I would like to thank you for your time. What I'd like to bring forward to the Commission is less of a public comment, more of a question in regards to qualifying parties and government agencies. It's been clear that having qualifying parties as with government agencies, primarily Bernalillo County, has created a taxpayer benefit. Currently, the way the regulation is written, or the licensing regulation is written, is that you have to have 30% ownership in each business that you're a qualifying party for. However, there's nothing in the laws that apply to those that work for government agencies. And so my question is How is CID regulations concerning licensing approved? And how can I incorporate change to benefit all licensed parties to encourage other government employees that are qualifying parties to provide this benefit to government employers while at the same time earning supplemental income as a licensed contractor? I'd like to see the conduit in order to incorporate that change for other folks that are in this position. It's my understanding that agencies like CNM, APS, those folks don't do large-scale construction projects, which are a benefit to taxpayers because they don't have a qualifying party employed by them. And if they do have a qualifying party employed by them, there's no such language in the licensing requirement that allows them to be a contractor as well as a qualifying party for a government agency. And I think this would benefit not only government agencies, but also from a private employer sector. It would generate revenue for those that are conducting business and encourage business. And having conversations with Commission Chair Baker, incorporating some language in those laws that would prevent licensed contractors from doing business with the government agencies, or any government agency, in fact, to prevent the perception of misconduct. So that's my question to the commission. And
A question or is that a comment?
it's a question. It's more of a question.
It would have to be directed to Mr. Galmi, who's head of licensing, and then I guess we could have some input. Do you have any? Is that something within your realm?
Chairman and members of the commission, I believe I've spoken to this gentleman on the phone.
Yes, we have.
I think his concern is that because of the rule that prohibits a qualifying party from qualifying more than one entity at the same time, unless there exists at least 30% common ownership between the businesses, the licensed entities, a contractor such as himself who has a GB cannot be the qualifying party for Bernalillo County unless he gives up his own license. And his concern is that, you know, the reason, well, we think the reason for the limitation is to prohibit companies from borrowing a qualifying party for a job and then taking off. And his position is that it should be different for the government because it's a benefit to the government entity to have a license, but it prohibits him from doing his own work. He has to choose between being a qualifying party for the government entity or his own business. And I think he's pushing or trying to ask what is the avenue to change that, to allow licensed contractors to act as a qualifying party for a government entity and not lose their own license. Is that correct?
That's accurate. Another thing that I'm experiencing as this process is I, again, hold 2 licenses. My employer is requesting the use of my electrical contractor's license, my EE98. However, that GB98 is also tied to that license, which means I lose both, which is...
But you do have a full-time job now?
I do have I am a full-time government employee, yes. So, so again, I would like to know how can I incorporate change? Perhaps maybe we can modify the existing law. If it is allowed for qualifying parties to be in 2 separate organizations, why couldn't the case be for government agencies as well?
I don't know why that was set up that way.
So how can I incorporate change?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Andy, is that by rule or by statute?
By rule.
Okay, so it can be amended by this commission.
I got a problem with that's double dipping. He's guaranteeing his job, and he's going to circumvent us on getting permits and stuff on his stuff, and we're fighting that now, and I got an issue with that. Either he's working for the county or he's working privately. So pick and choose, you know. We don't want him going out and then he gets the subcontract on the backside and circumvents all the purchasing requirements and everything else. And I mean, there's a whole cluster of stuff that'll open up on this Pandora's box. Either you're in one or the other. If he wants to work for the county, great. If he wants to go out and be a private contractor on the side, that's his business, but don't mix the two because you circumvent all the public requirements of bidding and doing everything. And we got problems now with unlicensed people working in the EPS or wherever it's at. We've had issues.
That could eventually be a transparency problem because of your if you're working for the county and now you're holding the licenses for the county in 2 areas, so now you're being a contractor for the very employer that you're working for. I don't know that.
If I may explain, Commissioner Chair Baker and Commission, the intent is to actually be more in compliance with Construction Industries Division, which this commission enforces. Because what's occurring is, or what has been occurring, which we thought we were in compliance, is we were trying to have the authority having jurisdiction enforce the code in any construction remodel project that we were doing. So we wanted third-party inspections. And so what we were doing is, rather than not having any inspection at all, which was the case before I was put in that position, we wanted to incorporate change and make sure that we were doing things per the code, which means that we stepped up and we started pulling permits for all work that was being conducted within Bernalillo County by county staff. So this is exclusively for the oversight of county employees, certified journeymen performing work in county facilities, right? Which is, again, saving taxpayers dollars. Then what we need is the ability to pull a permit from the county, have an inspector look at that work and approve it, and then move forward. As far as bidding work, no, it's not my intent to bid work for Bernalillo County. Quite the contrary. There are contractors out there that I have on contract that I use whenever I deem necessary, as you may know, Commissioner Check. So my whole intent is to bring it into compliance with CID, so that way any work that's being done that requires a permit within Bernalillo County be inspected and follow the processes of CID. Now, does that mean I have to lose my electrical contractor's license and GB contractor's license as well? It just seems unfair that if I opened up ABC Electric 1 and ABC Electric 2 and I own 30% in both of those, I'm able to do that. But when it comes to government work, which is obviously some taxpayer incentive, it's like, no, you can either be one or you can be the other. And if we need to incorporate language to allow for transparency, I'm completely open for that. I just think it would benefit everybody collectively if we were able to change that rule.
Yeah, I think there's some rules you can put in there.
Is there a process that a citizen can petition CID for a rule change such as this?
Chairman Bacon, Commissioner Woodland, I believe under the Uniform Licensing Act, there's a mechanism to request a rule change. And so I would ask your legal counsel to look into that and provide Mr. Martinez with that avenue. Of course, Mr. Ward is sitting today for Luis Carrasco, but I'm pretty sure there's something there where they can ask us to look at the situation and see if we can address it in rule. If that's possible, then maybe that would be the route to go. I'm gonna have to defer to your counsel though.
And I understand your position. I
Which is
have the same.
I'm gonna do the work.
Yep, I'm gonna finish. I have the same position, but that shouldn't preclude a citizen making that request. Us going through the process of looking at it, bringing all these things to light, and then making a decision from there out in the open. I have very similar opinions to you, but I think the process should be allowed to work.
I believe,
Okay, so here,
I believe you're right, there is a process.
right here, you mind, 61-1-32, petition for adoption, amendment, or repeal of regulations. Any interested person may request in writing that a board adopt, amend, or repeal a regulation. Within 170 days of receiving a written request, the board shall either initiate proceedings in accordance with section 61-1-29 NMSA 1978 to adopt regulation or issue a concise written statement of its reason for denial of the request. The denial of such a request is not the subject of judicial review. There you go.
Great. So who do I talk to about beginning that process?
Don't talk, you put it in writing.
Put it in writing. Who do I submit that document, that request to? And then do I need a majority vote from the commission in order for that rule change to pass?
It's got to go to public hearing and everything first.
Who would you send that to?
You can go ahead and send it to me.
May I get your contact information anyway? Great. Commissioner Chair, Commission, thank you so much for your time.
Very good.
Appreciate it.
Are there any other comments? 2 minutes worth of commentary this morning that anybody would like to add, otherwise we'll get started with our Director's report. Anybody? Going once, going twice, sold. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairman Baker, members. Appreciate the time to do my director's report. Again, reminding you the purpose is to update you on really what we've been doing for the last 2 months since we've met. And we've been recently involved in public school and Niños de los Niños Charter School in Espanola. We received several complaints from parents, both from students, parents of students that were in the building as kindergarten and pre-K, and parents that were part of the charter school as well, both in the same existing facility. After receiving those complaints, it's our statutory obligation to go look at that facility. So we sent our inspector out there, General Construction, and he then notified our bureau chief, Martin Romero, who went out, and then we decided to send the other 2 bureau chiefs out, both mechanical and electrical, JT Blanca and Kelly Hunt. And what they saw was concerning. It was a lot of safety issues, health issues, and we therefore stated that the building was unsafe for occupancy and requested that the district have the building vacated and kids take out of harm's way and find a place for them. After a court injunction and issuance of a temporary restraining order, the building has been closed, and this district is under obligation to find a home for these students until a permanent solution can be provided. But I am extremely proud of the bureau chiefs and the professional way they handled themselves in court. The judge recognized the process and was very understanding and heard the evidence that was presented. There was no way we were trying to close down this charter school. We were trying to do just the opposite. In fact, find a place for these kids to be less safe so that they're. And we are continuing to work with the district and charter school and their selected architect and contractor as they look at a solution to this. So I just throw that out as information. CID also continues to pursue additional in-house training of our field group. Last Thursday and Friday we had a training for all of our inspectors across the state that came to this office for the Friday morning, Thursday afternoon late, and then Friday morning. And our compliance group, headed by Manager Amanda Rohrbal, developed these different scenarios using real-life issues and photos of various projects. We split the inspectors into various groups, and they analyzed the issues and then prepared CVDs, code violation determinations, and then brought that back as a group, and we listened to each of their findings and gave comment. It really turned out to be extremely successful, and I think was appreciated by all. What this is really doing is helping us in-house understand what various groups within the agency do and what they're required to do and what they need in order to do their job. So the emphasis was put on, hey, the inspectors, the photos you take, the way you write that up is extremely important to compliance group. And we're finding a really much more close interchange between our own employees on things like this. So I think that's very positive. The other thing that's happening is we have a PowerPoint that we put together, the bureau chiefs have, regarding the proper use of annual permits. And what's the scope of that annual permit, and when does that scope, when it's exceeded, then what's the next step? Applying for a permit and requesting inspections. And it's opened a lot of doors to us for not only other state agencies such as the Department of Corrections, we visited DSD, we've had meetings with the New Mexico Council of Code officials, Department of Homeland Security, talking about floodplain and flood issues, various municipalities across the state, Santa Fe, City of Rio Rancho, Hobbs, Artesia, several school districts have all invited us to come in and do this explanation of the annual permit. And really, they're trying to clean up their own shops and get them in more compliance and bring their facilities up to compliant. And make sure that their maintenance folks are working within the parameters that are allowed under annual permit. And then once they exceed that, move into the permitting and actual inspections being required. We also met with Amanda Robraw again of the Compliance Division and several of her staff, along with Deputy Director Wolf and myself. We met with District Attorney Brandenburg and her staff. There's a lot of investigation that goes on as our compliance group works various issues. And a lot of times we reach a point to where our authorization is limited, but we have a whole group of facts and findings that need to be turned over if it proceeds on to a court issue. And so we just met with the full purpose of trying to increase the communications between our offices and the DA's office in Albuquerque. It was a very positive meeting. Representation of the Attorney General's office was there, and I think it's really already proven to be a positive thing for us to share that kind of investigation and findings that we produce in our investigations that they can use certainly as it moves forward to litigation. So all these things are really being done to better the communications between CID and other entities around the state.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Goodman wasn't in here to hear that. I was wondering if we should call her in. Let her know that we're actually working hard to do this stuff.
Appreciate that comment. One of the most positive things we've done recently is we've had a new hire in Rick Martinez. Rick is here today. Rick, would you come up for a minute? Very pleased to introduce Rick Martinez to you. Really a positive point of our team. CID in the past, I think, has needed more help in regards to financial management and budget control and things like that. And so we've created a new position of financial management and manager for the entire CID and MHD, and Rick has been hired to fill that position. He's a native of Santa Fe, graduated from the College of Santa Fe, where he majored in accounting. He worked in the private sector for several years and then returned back to state government as a project manager for the Energy Conservation and Management Division within the Energy and Minerals and Natural Resources Department. After working there for 3 years as an energy project manager, Rick decided it was time to get back into finance and began working for the Legislative Finance Committee. And so he's been with LFC as a legislature's fiscal analyst, and he was over the RLD for the past 3 years, Registration and Licensing Department. So he's very familiar with CID and MHD and our budget history, and I think he's a real asset to the entire division, and he's working very closely already with ASD and with LFC in looking at CID's budget and making sure that we are operating within the parameters that we should be. So welcome, Rick.
Splendid.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Omer. Good morning. Thank you all for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to other personnel issues, we have 12 positions that are currently advertised right now. We're really attacking this vacancy rate that was in place when I came on board at the beginning of this year. And so due to a lot of hard work, Kathy is our liaison and HR person in-house, working with the HR staff for our total RLD, has really been pushing the vacancy issue. And so as a result of that, and they're listed there, I'm not going to go through that whole list, but there's 12 positions, very important positions that really need to be filled as soon as possible, and they're in various phases of development. Some of them are waiting for the position to be hired, about 4 of them. Others are listing applicants. We have some new hires. Rick, we introduced. We have a new office and administration support person. Annette Pratt is on the front desks now with us. Larry Rivera is a new electrical inspector. He was a former employee of CID, and he's returned, so there was not a large learning curve there, and he hit the ground running, which we desperately need in that area of our inspection. We have a new compliance officer pending approval, but the process has been completed and the person has been offered the position. And the same holds true for a new general building and chief inspector for Martina Romero. So I think we're making some real strides towards this vacancy rate issue. We have people retiring as well. Jimmy Gutierrez, an electrical inspector, has been in the Espanola area for 26 years. And he's retiring, CID, or has retired. And Coy Bombarder, also an electrical inspector in the Clovis Portales area, has been with us 8 years. He too is retiring. Moving on to plans and permitting. We've had total plans for the month of July was 604 plans reviewed. 200 were commercial, 404 were residential. In the month of August, we had 455 plans reviewed. 173 were commercial and 282 were residential. The total number of permits issued has really increased. You can see the electrical residential there, 1,799, right at 1,800. Last month we were at 862, so more than double. LP gas residential commercial, 1,981. Last month was, the last report was 798. The reason for this is the Housing Authority has come on really strong recently with remodels and upgrades. They're not large projects. Some are window replacement, a lot of concrete, flat work, but nevertheless, they go through the permitting process and plan review. So on top of this being our busiest time of year, June, July, August, with schools and other issues and special events, which we'll get into in a minute, we've had this increase in permitting and plan review. And then on the next page is a graphic of what I just stated. You can see that in July, the total plans peaked and plans submitted peaked, and also the commercial was up at the highest for the month of July. And a lot of this is attributed to the completion of school projects. We're hitting a deadline of August, so final inspections and all that come into play, along with some of the special event issues. Urenco, which is the huge project down southeast part of the state, you can see there that reports for that. We had, in structural, we had 8 new permits. Number of inspections during the last 2 months was 6,671. This is just Urenco. Electrical permits were 163 with 652 inspections. And mechanical, 22 new permits and an additional 3,052. To date, on that project, we've had a total of 16,245 inspections. Again, these are inspectors that we have that actually stay there at the Urenco. Some are close by and they come in periodically, but some are there 24/7. And we really are staying on top of that project. It's a tremendous project for the state of New Mexico, and once completed in latter part of 2015, early 2016, it'll amount to $4 billion worth of construction in the Eunice area on this one site. Call center report, you can see there, based on the previous months, that July and August have been part of our most busy as far as incoming calls, emails, and outgoing calls and voicemails. A little over 6,300 calls coming in both in July and another 63 in August. So a lot of activity happening in the call center. The last few pages are reports from the bureau chiefs, starting with Martin Romero, Construction Bureau Chief. And you'll see as you go through that list that a lot of meetings being held with other entities. The State Fire Marshal's Office working with us on several projects. I also should mention that they were very helpful on the Cariños Charter School project that I started with. We asked the Fire Marshal to go through that building prior to issuing our decision of unsafe structure, and they too had the same concerns and more than what we did regarding ingress, egress, failed exit signs, fire alarm systems not operational, those kind of things. So the Fire Marshal really came alongside and worked very closely with us in that particular project. But you can see here they're also meeting with us on several projects, and I think we've really improved the relationship there and the professionalism between the two offices. TAC meetings were held during the months as always. We met with FEMA and discussed the floodplain requirements. I mentioned that a little earlier. We visited La Mesa Mall in Siegel County, and we went down there and looked at some of the work that they're doing. Again, this was one of those issues on the annual permit. They just, as a governmental entity, they didn't quite understand the limitations of the annual permit. We went down and met with them and explained the situation. They were very appreciative. They've submitted documentation now and moving into compliance as they should have from the beginning. On the Electrical Bureau side, extremely busy. We continue to keep up with the oil and gas well installations in the southeast part of the state. We are doing overtime in that area to keep up, but we have it covered thus far. We're also having the municipalities, some of their inspectors ride with our inspectors, and it's really a good training and mentoring program that's taking place there. They too have had their ETAC meetings these past months. One of the major accomplishments is the Expo New Mexico Fair is finished now, and so a lot of inspections that were made during that time, both on the electrical and LP gas, are completed. Channel 4 did a really nice coverage of the inspection and the coverage that CID did in those areas. Also the carnival rides, all those are inspected out of our office as well. And so they were very complimentary and appreciative of the time that was spent at the fair on all those issues. Things that, you know, when I first started, I had no idea that we even looked at those things and we were responsible for those kind of inspections. But we are, for the safety of the public, and Expo, I really appreciated the time and effort given by CID. Solar PV and wind turbine rule went through public hearings, and that's going to be presented today for adoption to the commission. On the Mechanical Bureau side, JT Baca has met with his mechanical TAC code review on the 2012 UMC and UPC, and moving towards a request for to proceed with the public hearings regarding those codes. Chief Baca has also attended a 16-hour NFPA medical gas installation inspector recertification workshop. The new CID requirements for inspectors has now been adopted and requires a minimum of 8 hours CEU training per renewal cycle. And the Mechanical Bureau is aggressively attending and training workshops offered by NITC to maintain that medical gas certified inspectors. So JT's on top of that and bringing his staff into compliance as well. On the Gas Bureau side, Clay Bailey has been extremely busy with special events. He continues to be on site with several movie and TV shows and pilot programs that are already taking place or that will be. And I've listed some of those here: the Manhattan Project, Longmire, Bloodfather, Better Call Saul, Sicario, and then Valley Death of Messenger and Messenger. Special events have kept him extremely busy and his staff. One of the other things that Clay did in his spare time is travel to Colorado Springs and attended and addressed the attendees at the annual New Mexico Gas Association meeting. Clay is extremely knowledgeable in LP gas and is certified and beyond what's required, and is looked at nationwide as an expert in that area. And he's called on several times to give addresses to various associations at their conferences.
I always knew he was certifiable.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody will argue that with you. Let's see. Yeah, the state fair went well, and the Bureau's now gearing up for the Balloon Fiesta, and I think he's heading down to Las Cruces this next week for the whole Enchilada Festival that takes place down there. On the compliance and pending cases, Amanda Rohrball, compliance officer. There's a total of unlicensed contractors being looked at 278. CID investigations for licensed contractors is 147. Pending AGO prosecution is 210 cases, and pending MHD investigations for licensed contractors is 42. The total there is 677, and that's 116 down from what we had just last report. So a significant reduction. We're heading in the right direction. And Amanda, would you like to comment on why that reduction is taking place?
Sure. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, we've had a lot of success in a couple of different methods, and one of them is one of the things that you guys have authorized us to do with the settlement agreements. The Attorney General's office is turning and burning. It's fantastic. They're doing a really great job on these easier cases so we can get them off of the block. They also have been sending quite a number of NCAs, so it's a big help to them. The other thing is we are, the director and the superintendent have also allowed us to settle some of our unlicensed cases and get these guys licensed. We get them up and running and doing things the proper way. So we've been getting those out quicker, and people are becoming licensed more. It's becoming a great process. The other thing, of course, is working with other agencies. We had a big case that had about 26 victims that the director mentioned earlier, that the DA picked up. One of the guys actually got 4 years, so that's a big deal for that. And that's 26 cases that went right off of our plate and onto the DA's. Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda. That's it for my report. I stand for questions. I think you can see that that CID, MHD is becoming more than just permitting and code enforcement. I think that's part of our task and what we should be doing, and being there to help advise and consult the public as well as other construction industry. So with that, I'll stand for questions. Thank you.
I've got a couple comments.
Commissioner Casey?
First off, we always put in how many permits are issued.